I don't know. It was like something out of the movies, put on by people who star in movies. What's up, guys? Welcome to Fight City Gym Talk. I normally don't get into these types of topics, but I just know about 10 people are going to come into the gym today. Be like, Eric, tell me what you think about Chris Rock, Will Smith. And I'm going to give them my honest opinion. And my honest opinion is this. I think it was a setup. All we have is evidence. I don't know for sure. But when I stack up the evidence in my head, I think it was a setup. First thing. When Will Smith approached the stage, Chris Rock just sits like this. Almost braces himself for it. Second thing. As soon as he gets slapped, the next thing he does is he has some quick, witty remarks. That's not hard evidence because, they're professional actors and it's their job to be quick and witty. I just feel like, I hope that if I went and slapped someone as hard as I could, wham, that I would stumble them, that they wouldn't be able to get their wits back about them. And they'd have to look at the producers, the cameraman, and be like, cut to commercial. And Will Smith's a pretty big dude. I don't feel like Will Smith was just up there like, don't say that. Like, he hit him hard. Now, a lot of people might criticize the way he hit him. His posture, his positioning looks a little off, but he's wearing a suit. But even wearing a suit, I feel like I could still, whap, get someone a pretty hard smack. So, the fact that Chris Rock was so well collected afterwards and had some quick, witty remarks, I just kind of thought, like, that doesn't look like someone who just took a slap unexpectedly. Second, Will Smith's speech. So he wins the Oscar, he goes up and he gives this great speech. It was just too, I don't know. It was like something out of the movies, put on by people who star in movies. It was just too much. I'm sitting there listening to this speech and I'm like, man, this is too much. Like, this was preemptive, it was planned, and he's still acting. There is one thing when Will Smith sat down and said, leave my wife's name out of this, and he had some cuss words in there as well, but like, he was obviously shaken and disturbed and was like maybe even like sweaty, and I could hear his voice was fluctuating because he was probably a little bit nervous and unsure about what he did. So that looked very real. But then again, he's a professional actor. So what I'm getting at is we don't know really what these guys are capable of on live television. Now, let's move on to the last bit of evidence. The last bit of evidence has not come yet. What we don't know is what will come of this. If something uniquely big comes of this, then as far as I'm concerned, case is shut. This was a setup. If nothing comes of it, it's just a talking point for 2-3 weeks, and then all of a sudden it just goes away, then I can eat my words and be like, all right, it was probably just very real, live, just emotional. Wham, don't say that about my wife. But let me get out my tinfoil hat and put that on and get you ready for some conspiracy theories. As soon as this happens, people take a side. Will Smith was totally justified. I'm glad he slapped him. The other thing is, Chris Rock shouldn't have said that, but Will Smith doesn't have the right to slap him. So we start to see on Twitter both going back and forth. I'm glad he did it, shouldn't have done it. Now, I can pick a side. I think if it happened to me, I would hope that I would slap the guy. Because now you got to think about Will Smith driving home, right? He's driving home, and his wife's like, how can he say that? And rambles on, and Will Smith's in trouble because Will Smith didn't do anything about it. So I totally get why Will Smith slapped him. And I'm not criticizing Will Smith for slapping him. What I am going to say, though, is with my tinfoil hat on, are we going to start seeing words justify violence? Words justify violence. If words continue to justify violence, that's easy for the lawmakers to then go and start to attack our First Amendment. and say something like, there's certain things you can't say. You can't talk about other people. You can't say bad things. You can't blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. The fact is, our First Amendment is already being attacked. So if this is used, now this I don't think will be the straw that breaks the camel's back, but this could be one on top of the next, on top of the next, the start of a lot of scenarios that end up going to court and judges being like, well, I mean, you shouldn't have said that. If judges start to back the people who acted in violence due to someone else's words, now what happens is we have all these cases cluttering up the court system where it's like, hey, this guy said something, this guy smacked him around a little bit, what are we going to do about it? Our lawmakers would love to get their hands on that First Amendment. If our lawmakers in any way, case, or form, way, shape, or form, could start to be like, hey, why don't we just nip this in the butt and say, you can't say mean things. If something like that happens to where they start restricting what we can and can't say in public, we're in trouble. And that's where I start to think, like, is this the first of many possible words equal violence, words equal violence? If it is, we're in trouble. But let's hope everything I'm saying is just a crazy conspiracy theory and nothing's going to come of it. All I can say is after 2 years of COVID-19 and all the craziness that spun out of that, if you ask me, nothing is off the table right now. And the last thing I think we can do is just sit back and see, does anything come of this? Because if it does, told you. And if it doesn't, I was wrong. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave some comments. Thanks for joining me.